Hand clap to the massive brothers and sisters. We are finally back. We finally made it to another reaction on the one and only Mystelics Reacts channel. Brothers and sisters, I know I have been off schedule when it comes on to scheduling these videos and posting these videos actually in that regard right there, brothers and sisters. But I try my best. Even the video of yesterday was uploaded today. That was crazy right there, brothers and sisters. Man, but it is what it is, brothers and sisters. Hopefully I get to rectify that situation as time goes by. But I definitely have to wait when I'm receiving information and then posting it is another story right there, brothers and sisters. But I do appreciate you guys for being a part of these vibrations. Don't forget to click the like button. I would appreciate that right there. Click the thumbs up button. And of course, subscribe and turn on that post notifications so you can get the latest vibrations when they tend to come through. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, let us get into the vibrations for the day. Of course, we have none other than SKERRIT back again with more vibrations for the people right there, brothers and sisters. And of course, we're going to see what he has to say in that regard right there. I know a number of you guys don't like to listen to SKERRIT, but it's important that you listen to what he has to say and then see what he says, if it makes sense at all. And of course, then decipher, of course, if it doesn't make sense, then what actually makes sense in that regard. And then you can then make a proper decision in understanding what your next move is, especially when it comes down to the economy of Dominica right there. So let's take a listen to some of the things that SKERRIT has been saying right there.
Discussing it in the general for the union, that we may have to go to parliament, in my view, with a special piece of legislation.
So before I continue, guys, the buzzing that you're hearing is not on my end. As you can clearly tell when I stop the video, it's on their end. I think, like I indicated before, that they apparently don't listen to me. Your cord is the problem. You need to change your cord. Your cord, I tell you guys the problem, you know, I'm not there, but I'm telling you the problem. Your cord is the problem, and you guys need to change your cord so it doesn't make that buzzing sound, okay? All right, then.
Discussing it in the general for the union, that we may have to go to parliament, in my view, with a special piece of legislation that will help address the issue of registering homes that the government has granted to people, especially persons whom we have had to relocate on humanitarian and safety grounds, so that we truncate the process and we also eliminate the cost of the process. And so that's something, you know, we'll be looking at. And to have a special piece of, I believe that we need to have a special piece of legislation to deal with that. Otherwise, it's gonna take a long time. I mean,
You mean a long time, like 7 years, SKERRIT? SKERRIT, all what you're saying is already in legislation, me. You have moved people to land, obviously. When I'm thinking of the individuals of PT Savan who have moved, you have relocated them. And as a result of the relocation, you should then give them titles. To the point where I believe it was, who stated, I think it was the Attorney General that stated that the titles are on the desk. Somebody stated that the titles are already on the desk. And I think that was about 2 elections ago. Remember, this that he's talking about is on the basis of 2017. 7 years later, he's talking about putting up legislation. Brothers and sisters, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not against, people like to say, oh, Mystelics, you're against SKERRIT. And I'm not against SKERRIT, no? What I have to be against SKERRIT for? What? Tell me. I am not against SKERRIT, no, brothers and sisters. You are the Prime Minister of the country talking about you have to put up legislation. That is just wasting time, SKERRIT. You know that you are relocated the individuals. Your people have stated that the titles are already on the desk of the Prime Minister. And now you're talking about doing what? Putting up legislation to do what? When this legislation is already there? SKERRIT, to me, I sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, I don't know. You relocate people, you take them out from their land, you take them out from the areas that they were abiding in, living in, SKERRIT. You remove them from there. Your people have stated during election time that the titles are already there. All he needs to do is to get back into office so he can give people their titles. And up to now, that has not been done yet. 2 elections have passed, SKERRIT. Two of them. In 2019 and 2022. You call another one. It has also been indicated you would have called one in 2024, but you realize that certain circumstances were not there. To the point where now you guys are saying that people can actually bring in 10,000 US dollars. It was 10,000 EC dollars. Now it is now 10,000 US dollars that people can now bring into the country right there. There's a you guys have posted this out there. You guys didn't have to go to parliament and none of the stuff. So if you can do this, why? It's not even me that say it, you know, brothers and sisters. Not even me. Let me get it for you guys right there. Hold on. Okay, guys, we are finally back right there. And of course, this is what I'm talking about right there. Visitors to the island now permitted increased undeclared cash limit upon arrival, brothers and sisters. Travelers to Dominica are now allowed to have the sum of 10,000 US dollars in the possession without having to declare that amount right there. Now, guys, there's two ways I can look at this. I can look at this way from a good thing. I think that is a wonderful thing when it comes on to individuals bringing more cash to Dominica. And of course, the second one is that they are now allowed to have some sort of, let's not look at it from a money laundering point of view, because they're looking to increase it on the basis of potentially bringing in their own funds in addition to the amount that they are allotted or used to be allotted. Of course, 10,000 was about 3,900 US dollars. It has increased by almost 3 times that amount right there. Now, don't get me wrong, brothers and sisters, I think that is a wonderful thing when it comes on to individuals bringing in cash to Dominica. Obviously, when you have the cash, instead of most likely putting it into your card and stuff, but it is much more easier when it comes on to money laundering right there, cash to Dominica in that regard right there. So now, based on how things are, I know in the United States you have 10,000. It's actually 10,000 US dollars, from my understanding, if I'm not mistaken. The limit is actually 10,000 itself, 10,000 US dollars right there. So that can be looked at from both standing when it comes on to that aspect right there. Previously, travelers to Dominica were required to declare a monies amounting to 10,000 EC dollars or more. In that regard, of course, they have changed up or want to change up that vibrations right there when it comes into that. So, of course, when it comes down to certain circumstances that happen, brothers and sisters, I look at it from the benefit of the people. I think that is a good benefit for people come to Dominica who don't want to necessarily use their cards and stuff. You know, when you use your cards, people can pretty much follow your details and all those kind of things there. Whereas when you have cash, you can just have your cash and then you don't have to declare the 10,000 US dollars. Obviously, being able to splurge a little more when it comes down to the Caribbean right there. However, the question here is, what about the other countries that you have to come into? Will that be allowed? In other words, if you have to stop, have a layover in Antigua, is that the amount that is laid, the amount you have to give in Antigua? The individuals out there, let me know that in that regard right there. Or unless you're traveling straight to Dominica, from wherever, you can then have the 10,000 US dollars undeclared. So I think that is something rather interesting that we have to look at. Is it just straight for Dominica, or will that happen anywhere else where people are going to be declaring? Because I know sometimes you travel from Dominica to let's say you're traveling to Dubai, you know, and then you're passing through transit into the United Kingdom, and then the United Kingdom is finding out that you have more money allotted based off their own constitution or their own laws. And therefore, if you have too much monies going to that country, they might hold you in that country. You get my sentiment right there. So would that be straight to Dominica? Are you flying straight to Dominica, or will you be stopped on the areas where people will say different countries require different rules? If you have to fly through Antigua, and Antigua says, you know, I have 10,000 EC dollars is our amount. You get my drift, guys. 10,000 EC dollars is our amount. If you have 10,000, you have to declare it. And if Dominica says 10,000 US dollars, then does that mean you have to declare it in Antigua before you come to Dominica? Because I know they hold a number of people, not just Dominicans, they hold St. Kitts people up in the United Kingdom already. So I'm just thinking of it from that point of view. Who exactly will it benefit when it comes on to that aspect right there? I just decided to throw this out to you guys right there. Anyways, brothers and sisters, let's head back to where we were right there. Let's continue.
You and I buy land, something takes us 2-3 years, something to get no title. I mean, there's been marked improvements, I must say, at the registry. But you have challenges sometimes, and it can take you a longer time. Just imagine you're dealing with thousands of homes that you're granted.
That's understandable, SKERRIT. Thousands of homes, but you guys have stated that you have the titles already. Your people have stated that they have the titles already. Up to now, 7 years later, the people, okay, you say 2017 happened, so maybe in 2019. 5 years later, the people still have not gotten their titles yet. They still have not gotten their titles that is rightfully due unto them. And it seems like you are holding the people back. Because yesterday I was reacting to you talking about, oh, you're looking for the benefit of the people. But if the people who have these new houses that you relocated them to don't have the titles, that of which they can then take the titles to the bank and say, I want to send my child to school without the government involvement, that means you are hindering the very people that you claim that you are helping, SKERRIT. It is not my words, man. This is simple logic. If I want to help my family members, you take for example the people of Wesley. There are still people in Wesley that have not received funds from them already. I'm talking about that. There's a particular incident. Let me bring it up to you guys right there. Okay, guys, as you can clearly see that this is the information that I actually had from the particular individual right there. It's one thing when you're talking about giving people the titles, but it's another thing when you're actually owing people and, of course, hindering the process for which that individual can then be able to utilize the land to something that is actually beneficial. And you still not paid the people yet. There is one particular situation of a particular individual that sent me the information right there. And he said to me, yeah, man, is an issue I am having with the government still owing me for my land at the airport. And of course, the individual sent me a picture of that vicinity area right there, that of which he knows where his land actually is. And of course, as you can see, it is within that vicinity, just around the truck region. That is where this individual's land is. And of course, he said, I'm not sure if you can shed some light. Obviously, we want to make things aware to the individuals out there. And as a result of that, we are making things known. For 3 years, this man has been going back and forth to the island and of course has not received any sort of help when it comes on to compensation for his land. And as a result of that, he had to put none other than whom? Cara Shillingford on the case. That of which, when reviewing the case in that regard, of course, the government had to be charged with trespassing. They had to be charged with trespassing because they did not follow the proper procedure to acquire any land that this man is owing, any land that he owns right there. And of course, they did not gazette it either. It is important when government is making things that they have to gazette it. If they don't gazette it, that means the public is not aware of it, and as a result of that, you can then sue the government for these kind of things right there. Just like the house, it is not gazetted. The Prime Minister's mansion, well, to my knowledge, it has not been gazetted yet. I could be wrong. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong right there. But at the point in time, when you're talking about the whole drone situation and those kind of things there, the house was not gazetted at all. So that's another situation right there. You have to know the laws of Dominica or they will take advantage of you. But this individual was saying for 3 years he has been going back and forth, and they only took him serious when he got a lawyer in Dominica, brothers and sisters. He got a lawyer, and the lawyer then utilized what the measures that the government had did improperly to then trespass the government in that regard right there. It's been over a year since I told them my price, including the trespassing amount, and they are still talking about they need to discuss it with their lawyers. They are just killing time, brothers and sisters. It's a constant killing time business that is happening right there. I'm just making sure you guys see it is not I'm making up things when individuals have reached out to me on the basis that they are stressed about that sentiment. For 3 years, the man have been going back and forth to Dominica to rectify his land. You guys took his land, the very land he could actually be using to do things and develop himself as a young individual. He has to be going back and forth to the point where he needed to take lawyer to then make any sort of change in that regard right there. They have built roads and houses on my land and yet to pay me. But the lot next to mine is touched and the guy has been paid off years ago right there. So an individual who was next to him was paid off, but he hasn't been paid off yet when it comes into that sentiment right there. Obviously, it doesn't just stop there, brothers and sisters. So he gave me the breakdown of the whole thing. Well, before she got involved, they weren't taking me serious. The main guy who's frustrating everything is called Bernard Lloyd. Bernard Lloyd, this man needs to be paid his money so he can continue doing his thing. It not be that called name, This man, Bernard Lloyd, is the one that he named, being the one who's frustrating the system right there. And as a result, he needs to be compensated for his land when it comes on to the situation right there. In fact, Bernard Lloyd actually thought that the individual was an old man and was frustrated. That's what he thought. That's what the individual telling me. He thought that the man I was speaking about, he thought he was an old man and thought that maybe he would pass away, man. Maybe he passed away without pain, and as a result of that, he most likely was killing time in that regard, right? Well, he's not an old man. He's a very young man, very, very young man in that regard right there. And as a result, had to go and get lawyer to then rectify. Really? And then SKERRIT come and talk as if they are they're trying all their efforts and this kind of things to make things happen when you already owe people money? Really? Okay then. I find this very disturbing when it comes on to that act right there. So Kara went and found all the laws they broke in the acquisition process and proposed a 30K fine for trespassing. Since then, they have been taking forever to settle on my proposed price on my land, because as I said, I was an individual still paying loan on the very land that he has acquired for himself to do something for himself. Really? And SKERRIT coming and say, oh, you have to make, we have to go and make legislation, all those kind of things there. Pay people their money, my brother. Pay people their money, my boy. Just they come in and talk rubbish as if you're making strides to do anything. This is just one out of the hundreds, Yeah, boy. Hey. I have made almost 100K in payments in interest. Dominica already when it comes on to this kind of things there. This is what the individual was saying. I have a balance which needs to be settled. Plus, I have made almost 100K in payments in interest, etc. So my proposed price was the amount I have paid plus what I owe in the bank. But they took forever to acknowledge me. So I included recently the trespassing fine to the key and blah, 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 so forth and so forth in that regard right there. So you have to take the government to court for what is rightfully due to you. And SKERRIT will come and talk as if they're doing things wonderfully.
That will help address the issue of registering homes that the government has granted to people, especially persons whom we have had to relocate on humanitarian.
How much, SKERRIT, where does it end? Huh? You owe people in Wesley money. You owe them money. And if I have to escalate, I can escalate that, It's just within the context I am bringing this information out there. You owe people money. You owe LPOs money, SKERRIT. You owe people in Wesley money for their land. You owe indie people titles for their land. None of that has happened. And you come in and make it seem like as if you have been doing things to elevate the basis of people too. Yesterday, I did a reaction on the basis of housing. Even Melissa come in and act as if the Lord has used them to do. The Lord didn't use you to do nothing. It doesn't matter who that was there, Melissa. It's the World Bank and the people in charge of these houses that have nothing to do with CBI. You talking about the Lord use you to do what? You negotiated for these houses? These people came to Dominica, assessed the problems, spoke to the people, realized who needed houses and who didn't need houses. They did the list. And from my understanding from one of the individuals who are recipient of the houses, they would never get the houses, indicated to me what was happening, stating that other people were getting houses and not the right set of people. So what's going on, SKERRIT? Huh? I mean, no, brothers and sisters, I'm just giving you reference of what I was told. Okay, I was told by an actual individual who was supposed to be a recipient of the house. They are giving out houses. It seems like they're giving the houses to their own set of people who they choose to give houses. Then Melissa will come and say, oh, we are the instruments and the Lord use us. You see, she's using the same sort of rhetoric that SKERRIT will use, trying to include the Lord in their thing. Satan does speak about God too, You know that, right? When Adam and Eve were about to do the craziness that they did that plunged the entire world into darkness, you know who Satan was talking about? He was talking about the Lord. So, brothers and sisters, we have to be mindful of individuals speaking about the Lord when it comes down to their own agenda. SKERRIT. So long you owe so much people so much money. And now you're talking about doing legislation. That is about killing time, SKERRIT. It's kill, you want to kill more time again. So this is why you tell people these things. You can fool them, but you can't fool people like me. You talk about legislation when 2 elections ago, your individual, your people were saying that they have the titles to give the people. It's on the desk. It's either your desk they stated or the Attorney General's desk. Is either yours or the Attorney General's desk. They say that the title was on. I have the video somewhere. And you want to act as if, oh, we have to do legislation. No. Really? Really? Okay. And the people who swallow these things. Because SKERRIT come. That's one of the things that I notice a lot of people are doing. When it comes on to monies and this kind of things there. They like to kill time. They come and tell you certain things, that'll ease you. At least, there are some people that are just blatantly wicked, They owe you money, they don't tell you nothing about your money. Years passing, they don't tell you nothing, right? That making you more vexed than you never know. What some people doing, however, is they come in and speak to you, telling you we are working on this is what is happening, certain circumstances are happening, and they're using real world events to then make you believe, okay, something is happening, but we are working on it. And they are doing this on the basis solely just to kill time. This is why SKERRIT is talking about, oh, we need to go, I believe we need to go and do legislation to do these things and whatnot. And then he even bring the opposition in as if it's the opposition fault that people not getting their titles.
Thousands of homes that they are granted. But the reality is there's nobody in Dominica who will have the authority to take those homes from these people. So
SKERRIT, anybody can take the homes from them. You can take homes from them. You come back again with another rhetoric. Huh? Didn't you say a few years ago that all buildings built by the state is owned by the state? Didn't you say that? SKERRIT, take me to task. Take me. So, what is the word? Is libel? Whatever. Take me to court on the basis that you say that the state owns these properties. Take me to court, SKERRIT. I have the videos of you saying these things, SKERRIT, on the radio station. So help me understand how on earth now you're talking about doing legislation now for you to get the people and nobody can take house and those kind of things there. You even wrote a letter when you were giving people apartments saying that the Lord gave and the Lord take away. How that have to do? Boy, I tell you.
I know the
my God in heaven.
I'm trying to create this thing in your mind or title and so on.
Yeah, the people need their titles, sir. The people need that title so they can move forward. You building a bigger mansion than the two previous mansions you stayed in. The people begging for a title to at least have some sort of substance that they can pass on. This is why even when I read one of the individual stuff, the Bernard individual thought that the man was an old man. And he thought based on that maybe he can just kill some time and maybe the old man will pass away and as a result they wouldn't have to pay nobody. Really? And it's very interesting when you look at the dynamic, you know. The man has paid how much? Hundreds of thousands, or over 100K on the land. And interest and all those kind of things there. The man needs to get his funds so he can start doing his thing. You thought the man was an old man. You thought he passed away and as a result of that, the land would not necessarily belong to him. He'll go back to the state. If you think the man will pass away. So you don't know what levels of offspring the man has so he can pass on something to his children. People working hard to earn land in this Dominica there. And you're not paying these people their money with you guys hoping that's it. That's what I understand. That's what I'm understanding from it. You guys look like you guys are hoping that people pass away so that the land will just pass to all you. Is that fair though? Be that the case, is that fair? No, I have the drop of the land and everything, you know. You owe the man his money, pay the man his money, and all the individuals, the hundreds of individuals, all you owe. Let me just finish that video.
To take those votes from these people. So I know the opposition elements are trying to create this thing in your mind or title and so on. So
why are you trying to create the opposite when title is necessary? We want to pretend as if the title is not necessary. SKERRIT, not necessary. It's SKERRIT, that's what we have to do.
But it's the same opposition that told people or said the government wasting money building houses for people.
But you are wasting money building houses for people. You're not creating jobs. You're not doing nothing that elevating any growth factor of Dominica. You said that you're going to find markets out there. Yet still you come and talk about misinformation last year in the previous... Boy, SKERRIT, boy.
But in order to create a political issue, I heard it raising on my program too.
As they should raise it all across on DBS, on what Kyrie, what else it have, what... Even on Voice of Life, they should raise those issues. Because it's affecting the livelihood of the people that you claim that you are doing things for. Even though you're building your personal mansion that is bigger than the previous 2 mansions that you're staying in. Really, my brother? Really? Oh, my goodness.
There is that issue of no titles or no titles. So
it's not an issue. That is an objective fact. The people have not received their titles. Boy, Mr. Lord is you, no boy.
All the time trying to create that into the mind, but I'm telling
It's not create. It's not create. They creating you that create it. Boy.
the person that
Boy.
once you get a
Boy, how you can come on camera? I don't know. Sometimes I believe Skerrit does say things and he forget he see them. And he think that because he forget he see them, that automatically everybody else going to forget this, that he said it too. Skerrit coming and telling people about, oh, the opposition creating this, but the opposition speaking the truth. You have to give the people the titles for the land. This is why so many individuals in Wesley today have not moved. Because they are fearful of if they move, they will still not be able to get the titles so that they can do certain things. They are scared of moving, so you guys are working around their houses. Can you imagine that? People so do not trust the very government that is speaking here, that they say, unless you give us our land and our title for the land, we are not moving. Imagine that. So whole day, whole night making hot in the house or whatever happening there. They hear noise, sometimes they're working in the night. This is one of the reasons I think why they had this whole situation with Edison James. And the noise that has been made and all those kind of things there. I mean, we have to come to a realization what is happening to Dominica, guys. We have to come to the realization that SKERRIT is not good for Dominica. SKERRIT is in fact working against the very people, but it's coming nice to say certain things so he can kill time. What are you talking about going and make legislation for? What? Guys, I finished with this video. Let's go to the end.
letter from us. There's nobody who can take it.
And people will believe the man, we. People will believe him, we. Ah, it's scary. I saw this thing right there. And I have to agree with it there. I have to agree with this. To believe SKERRIT, and not just SKERRIT, brothers and sisters, on the basis of the government system that is running around the world. To believe your government and believe everything that your government says makes you a fool. And it's very much evident. This is why SKERRIT is one of the best examples for that. Evident. SKERRIT keeps talking about he helping the people. When you look at the people back then, 10 years ago, the people better 10 years ago than they are today. And I'm talking about staying in a house that you don't own, you know. Keep in mind, if you were staying in a shack and you own the land, or a matter of fact, you squat on the land and you have been staying there for quite some time, and you were staying on that land that you squat for probably over 10 years or whatever, which becomes rightfully yours based on the laws, based on the squatting laws, and you have a house, a shack on that land, it will be better that you stay on that land than to be moving into an apartment. Because you can then pass on that land to your family members. They can rightfully own it. That's what you call generational wealth. You can pass an apartment to your family members. Huh? Is it better back then than today? Even if you stay in a house that looks better than the shack that you were staying in. Brothers and sisters, you have to look at logic. Boy, logic is something that is just not applicable in this day and age, I tell you. Everybody's on their feelings. Oh, my feelings. Oh, feelings. He said this. Oh, it coming. Brothers and sisters, we have been waiting 20 years for the elevation of the economy of Dominica. And every year we're seeing the economy going down. To the point, or even to the tune, brothers and sisters, we're not just seeing the economy going down, you know. But Dominica has made the most amount of money in its history under SKERRIT through the CBI program. And we are seeing less and less in Dominica, economically speaking. A boy had to be flown out to get better medical attention, and SKERRIT has already already stated to his very people that he can fly his family member out to get better medical attention, and then ask the people, what about you? Brothers and sisters, aren't they supposed to be doing something about the medical fraternity in Dominica? And aren't they supposed to be doing something about that? Aren't they supposed to do something? No? Yes? Maybe? Guys, I finish. This is all about us for this reaction vibrations today, guys. What are your thoughts, man? Leave your thoughts in the comment box. No, I'm just here to point out there's another video I actually have that I say, well, it's supposed to happen that way. So, SKERRIT, Bernard Lloyd, give the petty man his money. All you have to get the man to go and make all the trespass on his land. No, you have to pay more money now. When you could have just paid the man for his land. And don't tell me you already that money, no. Don't tell me you already that money. Or you increase all your salaries. Not Bernardine I'm talking about. SKERRIT them, the government I'm talking about. They increase their salaries. Only have how much advisors to the Prime Minister that do absolutely nothing but advising the Prime Minister. Making about $65,000 a month to advise the Prime Minister. But hey, if that's what the people want, so be it. But advise, pay the man his money. And it can get worse, you know. It can get worse, you know. You can always look for different things when it comes down to the law to add on that. And it'll get worse for you guys. Pay the man his money. Give the people their money. You want to take land to make airport? Great. $1.6 billion and you cannot pay people their money. You pay some people, but it's not some people you take land for. Shouldn't I think, brothers and sisters, correct me if I'm wrong. If you are taking something from somebody, shouldn't you pay that person before you utilize that thing? Huh? Shouldn't you pay that person before you utilize the very thing that you are taking from them? Correct me if I'm wrong, brothers and sisters. You guys, let me know. Maybe I don't know. I am confused. Because in this day and age, brothers and sisters, sometimes life can become very confusing. Very confusing from objective reality. But that's one thing I will never be confused on, is objective reality. Yeah? Anyways, pay the man his money. Okay? Bernard Lloyd, they call your name. Pay the man his money. What is rightfully due to him. Okay? Alright. It's about Mystelics, guys, on this Mystelics Reacts. Be real, salute the king always. Click the thumbs up button if you want to definitely support the vibrations. And of course, subscribe and turn on that post notifications so you can get the latest vibrations when I upload my video right there. Be positive.